Alrighty, folks. I am so excited for this. So excited. Let me pop over here and let you see me, let you see all the new duds. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am here with a brand new show called Creatips. I'm super pumped about it. Let me know if the sound and everything is good. We're all new and shiny today. You know what I mean? So I gotta make sure everything's all hooked up. You guys can hear me loud and clear. Ruben, hello. It is good to see you, my friend. I see so many familiar faces in the chat. Welcome in Steve, Chantel, Gareth, Derek, Rob, Sam Peterson, Umacorn. Hello, folks. All right, let me make sure. I feel like the noise or the sound is the music's a little loud for me, but let me know how you guys feel. All right, so welcome to the new show. I'm super excited for this. Creatips is basically a creative help show for all of you folks to come and join and get answers to some of the most asked questions I have seen in the community up to this point. You know, I've been doing this a lot of years, and I feel like I see the same questions sort of pop up in the live chat or on social media of people wondering those things. So I took all those questions and I've got some answers. And so every episode we do of Creatives will be answering one of those questions. And we're going to have help from a featured industry professional, which is going to be super awesome. Not only can you catch live specials of Creatives here, if you follow the Adobe Live Instagram or my personal Instagram, you can also catch little mini episodes, little tiny Instagram reels with nuggets of information for all of your design needs, whether you're an illustrator, small business owner, graphic designer, whatever it is that you do creatively, you can find something there for you. Today, our question of the day actually is, how do I present non-visual information in an exciting way? I think that this is a question that a lot of people have trouble with because, you know, if you're creating visual designs and things that are awesome and exciting and you're populating your portfolio with beautiful items, beautiful things, sometimes it can feel a little flat when you go to present large bodies of texts and all that good stuff. So we're going to kind of dive into that. Let me go ahead and bump up my mic just a little bit so you folks can hear me. Hopefully that sounds good. All right, so yeah, we're going to be answering the question of how to present non-visual information in an exciting way, and our featured industry pro for the day is actually Ruben Cespedes, and I'm super excited to hear from him. So we're going to pop over here and check out our industry pro speaker. Let's go do it.
Hello, I'm Ruben Cespedes here with your Creatives question of the day. How do I present non-visual information
Hopefully we
in
will
an
have
exciting way?
some
As a digital
sound.
product
One moment,
designer,
folks.
I know how challenging it can be. Hello, I'm Ruben Cespedes here with your Creatives question of the day. How do I present non-visual information in an exciting way? As a digital product designer, I know how challenging it can be to present non-visual information in an exciting way. But fear not, I've got you covered. I have tips and tricks to help you bring that content to life. First, use compelling. Hello, I'm Ruben Cespedes here with your Creatives question.
Okay, you could hear Ruben. One sec, let's try this again.
Hello, I'm Ruben Cespedes here with your Creatives question of the day. How do I present non-visual information in an exciting way? As a digital product designer, I know how challenging it can be to present non-visual information in an exciting way. But fear not, I've got you covered. I have tips and tricks to help you bring that content to life. First, use compelling storytelling to create a narrative that draws the audience in. Visual aids like animation, graphics, and diagrams can also be incredibly effective in conveying complex ideas. Finally, remember to inject your own personality and your own energy into those presentations. As content creator and mentor, I know enthusiasm is contagious, so don't be afraid to let your passion shine through. Goodbye, everyone.
Alrighty, hopefully you folks could hear that well. I see a lot of folks in chat saying it was a little too quiet. Um, Let me know if you would like me to play the original video. It's all fancy in our overlay here, but I can actually play our replay our video directly from the source if need be. So let me know how that went. We are, as I said, we're trying new things today. So if our industry video was a little too quiet, I can always revisit it and make sure everybody can hear Ruben's wonderful advice. Audio okay here, but maybe that's because I had my headphones in. All right, all right. Since Wade's stream, I had my rabbit ears on. Okay. Okay, louder would be better, but it's enough for you to hear. Okay, cool. We have a link in the description down below where I've kind of summarized some of Ruben's advice and things, which I'm going to pop over here real quick and take a look at it just so that we can kind of get the footnotes and things before we dive into what we are going to be working on. The little template looks a little something like this. Let me pop over here and let you see it. So we have our pro tips from Ruben. We also have how do I present non-visual information in an exciting way, and he said incorporate compelling storytelling. You want to create a narrative that draws the audience in, use visual aids like animation, graphics, and diagrams. Remember to express your own personality, and then one of the things that he said that I really love was that enthusiasm is contagious. I think that's such a wonderful thing to say. It's absolutely true. And if you want to check out more from Ruben, you can see his Instagram link and things right there. You also can check out a cool Master the Art of Color in UI Design course that he's doing. And you can also just a little bit about his Instagram specifically, because this is kind of the stuff that we are really going to be working on emulating and trying to do for ourselves is the Instagram. This guy has got an Instagram that is to die for. This is the kind of Instagram I think that we all probably aspire to, whether we are UI UX designers or illustrators or just graphic designers in general. The Instagram here is gorgeous, and there's a lot of text on this Instagram profile. Lots and lots of text showing lots of little case studies and carousel posts and things that convey a lot of information. And yet, when you come here to Ruben's Instagram, you're not bored. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff happening here. So definitely give him a follow. And let's dive into the brunt of our work for today. We are going to be creating some informational posts and things for ourselves. And I'm actually going to start the process by concepting some things out in Photoshop. We are going to create some interesting posts and some assets and things according to Ruben's advice, my own advice, maybe some ideas from the chat. And I'm going to share with you folks today a CC library that you can utilize to create your own posts. And then we're going to jump into Adobe Express and actually put some of those assets into motion, into use, and create some awesome templates that you guys can use there as well. So let's dive into it. I'm going to make sure I've got all this stuff up so I can see everything that is going on. Make sure I have the chat up. So if you folks want to slide any ideas and things my way, you can. One of the things I would like to know from you, chat, as we kind of get going here today is what you are working on specifically. What kind of information, text-wise, any non-visual information, are you folks creating or needing to convey in your own personal work? flows that you've been struggling with. Personally, something that I've been doing, and it's a kind of a concept that I want to work on for today, is presenting these posts where I want to make an announcement or say something to my audience, because as a digital painter, I post my portrait drawings and stuff, and that's good enough sometimes, just to have some kind of painting where, I can grab the audience's eye that way. I don't really need to use any words. But when I do have something I need to say, like, hey, come to Adobe Live for Creatips, how do I say that in a way that's still engaging, even though it's not one of my illustrations? So, according to Ruben's information that he gave us, we definitely want to incorporate storytelling. We want to create a narrative and use visual aids. So right off the bat, one of the first things I think of when it comes to visual aids in graphic design is having some sort of element that breaks up our post. So this is a square post, and if we had something that came down like this, some kind of element like so that has colors that are involved with our brand in some way, just to break up the shape of our post, I think that would work really well. Our title can be something that's large up here in the corner, just to kind of head our post. And then I feel like we want our information to be right here in the meat of our post. But there's a problem with just throwing down a giant a piece of text here, is that you don't want to bore people with work. You don't want to bore people with a chore or a novel to read when they show up. So we should tell a story. And how could we do that? Well, I think something that would be really interesting, and something I've seen done before, is if we did a post with a little bit of movement. Let's go ahead and just kind of elongate this out like so. Do something with a little bit of movement that allows us to break up this large chunk of text here into small bite-sized stories, right? So let's do something like this. Instead of having our huge post that is just one tile square that continues on for a big paragraph, let's do something like this. Let's go ahead and break our post up into 3 posts. I'm just going to draw some lines here. They don't have to be perfect squares because we're just experimenting here. And instead of doing that one shape that goes like so, let's do a couple of shapes that carry on throughout our entire post. So let's do something that looks like this, and let's do something that looks like this. Something that, kind of blends them together. We could do that. And those could be solid shapes that come in here. We could also do, if we wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and make another layer just for another idea here. We could also do something where instead of large shapes that connected, we could do small design details. So what if we have a body of text here in the center, just a sentence or two, and then we have a little loopty arrow that maybe connects to something else here, and then we could have another one that comes in and does something like that. Now these arrows maybe are not as exactly as perfect as I would want them to be for the original or the final piece, but you can see how we can start to blend this in and tell a story and bring them on a journey and make something interesting for them to follow. Something that looks like they want to swipe on your Instagram post. They want to continue to read the story you're laying out for them. And along with these things, so that we don't have a bunch of empty space, then we could maybe do some very small connecting elements like so. Maybe something just on these connector lines here that could be interesting, like that. And all of a sudden, I feel like we've started to have a kind of blend that starts to look, if you can use your imaginations with our concept here, actually quite professional and interesting. Something that makes me want to get involved and see where this is going. We can have our title large in the top corner. We could have, you know, let's see, if this is a title, do we want another title on the second one? Maybe we're just listing things, and maybe we have a small header here that denotes the next step, and then maybe there's another one here that denotes this step, whatever it is that we're talking about. Personally, I have been doing posts where instead of just sharing art, I share the things that inspire me. So maybe this is a post about the things that inspire my art, such as movies or music or things, and we can start talking about that. But let's go ahead and make this better than just a sketch. Let's actually create some interesting elements that we can lock into a CC library, which I'll link to you folks so you can use it along with me today, and then we'll dive into Adobe Express and actually bring this to life. Welcome in, Fergie. It's good to see you. Chantel, hello. I love that you are interested in the idea. Jacob Ortiz, welcome in. It's good to see you. Chantel says resume and cover letters. Yeah, resume and cover letters are a big one that can be kind of difficult to do. And I think another one just kind of along that line, maybe we'll change our concept a little bit, Chantel, is like not only a resume or a letter, but also an introduction. If you're going to post an introduction on social media, which I've seen a lot of people do, is like, how do you present a bunch of information about yourself when the only element you really have to use is perhaps a photo of yourself? So if we did something like that, you know, kind of talking about your likes and dislikes, I could, you know, come in here and let's make another layer. Maybe this is me over here on the side. And I can have a photo of me, and then it's like, well, what are my skills? You know, who am I? You know, you definitely want to put who you are, because a cover letter or a resume, you know, that's just like a big, huge, long spiel of like all of the things that you're all about. But if you want to make it gorgeous, I feel like you want to put just a tiny spiel, and then our little design can move us into the next thing. Maybe things that you're proud of, a little like bullet list of 3 short things you've done that you're very proud of, and then maybe it comes in here and continues on to a list of things that you're currently working on, or your goals in your field. You know, something to help people get to know you, who you are now, what you've done in the past, and where you're going in the future, basically, is I think a pretty good rule of thumb. So let's do one of those. So I have my sketch here, and I think I'm going to go ahead with my artboard tool, and I am going to create a new artboard that is just a square artboard. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to come up to our custom size here, and I'll just make this 6.66 like the height, and hit enter. So we've got our square post. We'll leave our little concept up there, and let's go ahead and make a new layer so that we can start really building this out. So we've got our square, and I'm gonna go ahead, in fact, actually, and probably bump a couple more here just so that we can really see the scope of our piece. And let's go ahead and create some designs. So I, over here on our first artboard, I think that it would be cool to use simple shapes. I feel like you can't go wrong with a simple shape with a blob or a circle. In fact, let's go ahead and do like a blob shape. I'm going to use the curvature pen tool, which is your best friend, especially if you struggle using the pen tool, making your lines curved and smooth. Using the curvature pen tool is an excellent way to get into the groove of making very smooth, very crispy, curved blobs. And I'm just going to kind of tap in here and create us a little design element that could be interesting. Something like that. Doesn't have to be fancy. And then what I'd like to do is maybe make this a kind of a gradient of sorts. You know, we don't want to just do a flat shape, or we could if we wanted to do a gradient background, but we want to make a couple of these shapes pretty bold and out there. I'm going to go with my favorite colors, but if you folks have some colors in chat that you would love to see, definitely throw them in the chat because I'd love to use some of your ideas in this. Since you are, before the end of the stream, you're going to have access to this CC library. So give me some colors to make them so that you can have the assets you personally would like to use. I think I've got some of these gradients saved that I've created over the years. This green, orange, and purple is kind of interesting. So we could kind of come in and do something like that and maybe put this on a clipping mask just to create something to start with. And then I could come in with my brush and a mouse if I want to, and just kind of sample some of these colors and make it a little bit more amorphous. So it's not just a bunch of straight shots kind of blobbing this color in. We can really kind of transform this into something a little bit more interesting. But I do like this color combo. I think it's really nice. We could even add a more bluish color over here just to kind of give it that darkness right there. And we could also add kind of a yellow color that's a little brighter just to kind of jazz up that end there. So we got kind of an interesting shape, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to snag all of these and I'm going to turn that into a smart object. Let's go ahead and go convert to smart object, and I'm going to call this bold blob, and I am going to save that. Actually, I'm not going to make it a smart object. I'm going to rasterize it because I have a tip for you folks. When it comes to using Adobe Express, if you're going to be using it like we will very shortly, and like bringing custom assets from a library into Express, if you make very large assets that are smart objects, personally, I have to wait a while for them to load, but I found that if they're smaller assets that are rasterized, they load in almost immediately. So I'm actually going to make sure that this is rasterized, and then I'm just going to throw that into our Creatips episode 1 CC library. And I am going to create a group for this, and I'm going to call this group shapes. And we do have a link, which we can share with you in the chat. I believe Sam has our link if you folks would like to check out this library as it develops today. You guys can dive in and start using some of those assets right this moment as we create them if you want. Okay. Let me scroll through and see how we're doing. All right. I am also going to let's make one that is just our bright colors. I'm going to grab my curvature pen tool again, and let's go ahead and just tap around until we make some kind of strange oblong oval here. And maybe we'll create a clipping mask. And for this one, I'm just going to tap some colors in from here since we already kind of have our colors laid down now. So let's go ahead. I'll grab this orange, and I'm just going to tap in some of this orange, make it a much brighter shape, and then I'll grab some of that yellow and throw some of that yellow there. Let's go ahead and merge those. I'm just going to select them, and since we're not creating smart objects, I will Control E just to merge, and we'll call this light blob. Boom. I'm going to throw that in there for all of you folks. And then let's do one more. Let's do a darker color blob just to kind of create something like that. I like that. Let's go ahead and bump that over just to kind of center it so I can see everything. We'll make another clipping mask. And then let's grab our dark color here, and I'm going to throw in some of this dark color and make a dark blob. Just something interesting. Now, these are shapes, you know, that are quite simple. And I think that, you know, as we're working with an hour's worth of time today, if I had all the time in the world to really spend on the project and do whatever I want, I might make some different choices as far as the actual shapes, but we really just want to try and get something down so that we have something to use from scratch today. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one dark blob. Boom. And I will throw that in there as well. There we go. Let's make sure that that is actually grouped with the rest of our groups. So we got some blobs. We got some gold blobs, some dark blobs. We've got a medium tone blob. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to group these in here. And let's go ahead and make us some arrows and things. Now there are arrows and assets and stuff available in Adobe Express, but I'd like to create something custom for you folks as well, just in case you would like to use a combination or use something that kind of matches with the motif that we're going for today. So I'm going to grab, let's grab just a hard round brush, or maybe I'm going to draw some for you folks today. I'm going to crank my smoothing up maybe to like a 24. And let's also add our colors because I'm realizing I want to be able to make some of these in the colors we're using. And because we're using libraries, I can actually snag some. So real quick, let's sample this dark blue. And then I will press my add elements button here and add our foreground color. Let's grab that reddish maroon. We'll grab our orange color here and add that. And then let's also add this middling yellow. And then we'll add the bright color. Boom. I feel like that's a pretty nice color palette. And what we can do is select all of these and hold shift and then group all of those. And we'll call this group color. So now you guys have colors and shapes if you'd like to design along with me. And then let's go ahead and hide that, and let's create some little arrows, shall we? I'm gonna grab my purple. We can do something like that. There's an interesting little arrow shape. I like that. That works for me. And I'm going to call this loop arrow. There we go. We'll drop that in here. And I'm going to call this, we'll group that, and I'm going to call this arrows. Let's do maybe a short arrow, something that's a little more straight. Let's go ahead. Actually, let's keep this open just so we can keep our eye on the ball and really keep our eye on everything that we've designed so far. So that's how that's made. Very, very cool. Yeah, the adding colors to the library. Is that what you mean, Pixie? Also, welcome in. It is wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let's do... Oh, I'm on my stamp tool. Let's do something like this. Maybe a little smoother. There's a little arrow right there. We'll call that small arrow. And I'll throw that right in my library. Boom. And then I feel like I want just like kind of a curved arrow, like an arrow curve, something like that. I think that looks nice. Let's do the tail end of that just a little bit better. Boom. So now we've got 3 arrows. We'll call this curve arrow. If I'm spelling that right, yes. So now we've got blobs, we've got arrows, we've got colors set up. And I feel like we also should perhaps create kind of a texture. And before I do that, I am going to set up quickly just a little mock post so we can really see what we're working with. So we've got our arrows. I'm going to maybe hide these top 2 and we'll utilize this. We'll keep that here. Let's go ahead and unhide our blobs, and I'm gonna hide a couple of my blobs and then just utilize one of our blobs here. We could do something like this if I wanna elongate that. Maybe throw that in here like so. Could be interesting. It's kind of smack in the middle, but I think that we could work with that. Do we want our background for our post to be white? I actually don't think it would look so bad if it was white because we have some pretty bold statements happening with our arrows and our blobs. But we can try, let me grab my paint bucket tool, maybe for an even brighter yellow. Something that's like almost white, but not quite. Something like that is actually pretty nice. And I will add that color to our library. Let's go ahead and throw that in there. So we've got that. We've got our little arrow here, which I will just honestly transform this, and we'll move that like so. We'll hang it off the edge. Even though I definitely want it to be pointing to one of the other posts. But for now, we'll just have it kind of included, just so that we can see. And as we kind of dive into making it look a little more real, we can start adding some text. So one font that I think is a really great font to use, I feel like it has a lot of uses, it's something that I always revert to constantly, is Montserrat. It's an Adobe font. You will have access to it on your system if you decide to go snag it from Adobe Fonts. I believe Gravesend Sans is also a really good one. Proxima Nova is a great one, and a lot of these are also available to you in Adobe Express. So if you're concepting or designing in other places and you want to create a brand in Adobe Express and have everything look very nice across the board, using a font like that is a good idea. But I'm going to go for Montserrat, and I'm just going to concept out here. Let's go ahead and maybe use our dark blue, and I'm just gonna free transform instead of choosing an actual value here, and we can call this meet. I'm gonna choose Chantel. Meet Chantel. I think I actually might want this caps. You're our guinea pig, Chantel. Congratulations, you are on the stream. I volunteered you. So we can say meet Chantel. All caps actually might look even better. Let's go ahead and try that. Meet Chantel. I should probably make sure I'm spelling your name right as well, since I volunteered you for this job. And I might actually bump our text in closer together. I kind of like it a little bit closer together, like 20. And we will have our Meet Chantel right up here in a corner. And then we could add an image, and I have a picture of me. I do not have a picture of Chantel, but that's okay. I think you guys are used to what I look like now. So that's all right. I'm just going to snag an image of me that I saved recently, just to throw kind of a picture in there. There I am. I'm actually wearing the same hoodie that I'm wearing right now, which is kind of works for stream continuity. Boom. I'll throw that underneath our arrow. And it's starting to come together. I wonder if we should change the color of our arrow a little bit, or we could change the color of me. If I want to grab my arrow, we could, you know, remember telling a story with how we're kind of creating our work. So let's maybe bump this in like that a little bit, and throw this like so. We'll have this pointing at some information that'll be up here, and then we could actually create an element of our image. If you want to edit images to put in your library as well, I could add some kind of gradient map to this, but honestly the purple of my jacket matches the purple that we're using in the back, so I'm not actually too worried about that. Maybe we could just add a clipping mask to our arrow and make like a colored arrow. So let's go ahead and add a clipping mask. I'm gonna come and grab our red color, and grab my brush, and I will tap a little, make sure it's our soft round brush. I will tap a little bit of red color into our brush, or into our arrow here, which looks kind of cool. It's kind of nifty. And maybe we'll save this as well. Let's go ahead and I'll merge that, and I'll call this duo tone arrow. And we're going to throw that right in the library for you as well. So we've kind of created like this interesting concept. I feel like these elements are starting to work together, but we need to create a whole spread. And I feel like Adobe Express is going to be a lot better at kind of creating this for us. So we've got some good stuff going on, and we have other things that we might actually need, but I think we can find those things in Express. So real quick, I'm going to pop over. Let me jump to my face cam. We're going to take everything that we've kind of concepted out, all of these designs, all of these custom assets, and we are going to dive into Adobe Express to really get this party started. So I'm going to move my screen over here. We are going to do a little makeover real quick on our stream setup, because I'm going to actually move to another monitor where you guys can see a little bit more of the things that are happening, and we'll pop back over here. So let's show off our main monitor. Ta-da! And we are in Adobe Express. So how shall we kind of create a an asset set? We want to make like a carousel post that really introduces me, aka Chantel, for the day. Okay, let me grab this. Let me make sure I can see my chat after I just gave us a makeover. There we go. I need to stop by more often. I always learn so much. Thanks, Val. This is looking great. Jacob, I am so glad that you are enjoying the show. Thank you so much for popping in. I see Ray has popped into the chat. It's good to see you, Ray. Welcome in. Who else do I see? Umacorn, ta-da! Yes, the Voodoo Val, ta-da. All right, let's make a little bit more. So I'm going to come in on Adobe Express. This is just express.adobe.com. If you have never used Adobe Express before, it is really excellent. I have been using it like crazy. In fact, I made the assets and things for our show today. If I can pop over to my projects so you folks can see, I made the assets for our show, like our thumbnails for our show and stuff today in Adobe Express. I've been making all of my posts for Instagram and my covers for my Instagram reels and everything in Adobe Express. It's become a big part of my process, and I think it should be a part of your process too, because it's really helped me a lot. So on the front page, you can see you can hit this plus button here and it'll show you all the different things that you can make, or you can scroll through and you can check out all of these awesome templates for different purposes and projects and things available to you for free here on Express. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and start from scratch. I'm going to do a Instagram post. So I can just hover over any Instagram post, and instead of clicking the template, I can just say start from scratch, and it'll start with a square post shaped properly for Instagram. And we can add pages. So we're going to be making a carousel post, and you can see here I'll be able to duplicate or add pages as we go along. And we want to access the awesome different assets and things that we've just created from scratch. So I'm going to come over to my libraries, which I can access. I'll come into Creatips episode 1, and there are all of the shapes and things that I just made, that I just created. Sometimes when you create a library and you start adding things, it might take a little bit of time for you to kind of load your assets, but for the most part, it is pretty snappy, and I find myself creating assets and things in Photoshop, dropping them into my library like we just did, and then pulling them into my pieces in Express all the time. But let's go ahead and kind of recreate and then start building upon what we made in Photoshop just now. Also, keep in mind a little tip. So you see how that needed a little bit of time to load there? When you are creating assets that you know you're going to be bringing into Adobe Express, I highly recommend creating those assets with the knowledge that it does take that time to load sometimes. If you make a bunch of smart objects that are super gigantic, they're like 10,000 by 10,000 pixels or whatever, you're gonna have to wait for it to load. I think that's just the natural, normal way of things. So that is why when we created ours, my file over in Photoshop is only 2,000 by 2,000 pixels, which is pretty large, I think maybe for Adobe Express, but it works. And it doesn't take too long for us to load what we got to work with. So it's a little blurry, and don't let that scare you. As you can see, it just cleared that right up real quick for us just now. It just takes a teeny tiny bit of time. So don't let that scare you if you start loading your stuff in. You're like, why is everything blurry? It just needs a little moment to gather itself. So let's now that I'm kind of throwing this in, I might actually, let's go ahead and rotate this. I think it needs to be rotated. Let's do something, maybe, how do we have it in our Photoshop? I feel like we had it like this, and then we had our arrow kind of like that. We might use a different arrow. Let's grab this one is actually kind of cool. We can grab that. We can also look at the arrows that we have available here. I'm gonna snag a different picture though. I'm gonna snag a different image because I just used a picture of me as a placeholder. Can't you just bring the Photoshop file over to Express? You can. There's a lot of capability with Express as far as bringing Photoshop stuff in. I like to make the assets, especially right now, because the library I just created, I linked for you guys as well. So you guys have assets or access to these assets, and I want to use them directly from there to show you how you could do that today if you want to do that. So, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of different little nuances with everybody's process, but that would be the reason for it today. I might actually throw this guy in here. Oops. Why? I just did a Photoshop hotkey. I did a Photoshop hotkey in my Express. That's what happened just then. That actually could be kind of interesting. It almost looks like maybe they fit together, and that's like up there, but I don't know. I don't know if it's for us today. Maybe not today. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna delete that one. I might actually want to experiment with this other blob. It could be fun to just test it out and see, like, what if we threw this guy right here, because he's pretty large. I feel like he could really take up a good portion of our project. But we also, oh, you know what? I just had an idea. Hold on. I'm gonna bring this guy back. I'm bringing him back. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this large. And I'm gonna snap this to the center of it. I think I could do this. Can I snap this to the center? If I make this as large, as wide as our canvas here. If I want to drag this over like so, and then just have that blob there, and then duplicate the page, and then I'm holding shift and I'm just going to drag this over here. I think I should be able to do that. Let's keep that center just like it was. And then have it, you know, so that when I swipe, it kind of has that. We might need to do some fiddling to like really make that swipe happen. But I think we could make it happen. I think we could. All right. Let's grab an image. So another thing that's available to you in Adobe Express is all of these fabulous pictures. And I'm just going to type woman portrait. Let's just grab a portrait of a woman. I like her shirt with our piece today, so I'm gonna snag this, and it's a little bit drab with the background compared to what we're going for, but once that loads, I wonder what we could do with the remove background. Let's see if we can get this going and kind of throw her in there. Ooh, that looks good. That's crispy. That's crispy, baby. So quick tip when it comes to removing the background with Adobe Express, you can click the remove background button with anything, but I highly recommend going for photos like what I chose just now, something that has a little bit of like a blankness in the background so that I can really detect exactly what it is that you're looking for. I think I can edit the cutout here, and I can come in and actually trim things. Like if I don't want the little stragglers of her hair showing there, I can edit it as I see fit. But if you are somebody that's not working with a stylist, or you don't have a lot of desire to come in and alter everything in little ways like this, I would try to either take photos that have a minimal background, or utilize stock photos with a minimal background. You can still do it with highly detailed images, but you might have to tweak it a little more. So something like this works really, really well. And I'm going to come into my layers here, and I'm just going to drag this down underneath. Make sure that that is in the very back. And we can kind of bring this over here, and let's rotate this. We've got, you know, maybe she's talking to us a little bit. Another thing that might be cool is to have the arrows travel across, which could be really interesting. But we will take one concept at a time, shall we? Okay, I've been gone for a minute. Adobe Express, I'm liking this. Kerwin, if you're not using Adobe Express, I think you are actually, if I remember, or at least I've seen you hanging out in a lot of the Express streams. If you're not using Adobe Express, you really should be. I think that it has a lot to offer a lot of people. I think that if you are a beginner designer and you're looking for some place to start, it's really great. If you are not a designer, but you're a small business owner and you're looking for some way to start really promoting your work and your pieces, but you don't have access to like a marketing team who can do that for you, this is a great way to create super good looking designs very quickly, as if you have a marketing team. But also I think that it's really great for seasoned designers, and I think that sometimes folks might think that that's a little odd, because why would you use Adobe Express if you already use Photoshop and Instagram? But as you can see, I did today. I jumped into Photoshop and I concepted and made some, you know, some assets from scratch to use in Adobe Express. And you know what? If I want to change up, you know, my template, because maybe I'm going to use the template for my Instagram reel covers for a series and I have to change the title, I can do that super quick. And I guess you could do it in Photoshop too, but I can't do it on my phone while I'm hanging out in my living room. I can't wake up in the middle of the night and have an idea and want to create a design for it and do it on my phone real quick, which I have done. I have done a bunch of my reel covers recently. I literally woke up at like midnight and had an idea and opened Express up on my phone and made a reel cover for inspiration. And when I woke up, I was like, oh yeah, I've got a bunch of new templates that I made last night. Time to make some videos. Very, very useful. And then the scheduler is incredible. I've been scheduling posts like crazy for social media, so I don't have to do it myself. And it works amazingly. So let's go ahead. Let's put our Meet Chantel back in here, because Chantel, you are not this lady, but you are still being featured on the stream. So we have our Meet Chantel. Let's come in and see what we've got for fonts. Do we have Montserrat? Do we have Montserrat in? Yes, we do have Montserrat. Ah, yes. And let's go ahead and sample our color. Let's grab our color here. And let's make our Montserrat bold, because I do love me a bold font. Can I access that easily? Let's go ahead and press M. Montserrat. Let's go to black. Extra bold works. Meet Chantel, and we can throw that right here. I think maybe we might need to find a more interesting way of putting this title, but sometimes, you know, you don't have time. And we are limited on time today, so let's maybe throw that like that and do something like this. That could be interesting. It's an idea. It's something that could work, you know? So we've got kind of this going, and this is like, I don't know, instead of a speech bubble, it's like Chantel is saying something to you. Ta-da! It could be interesting. We could add some more text, and I will snag, literally, I'm gonna snag something from the chat. Something that you folks are typing in the chat right now, is what is going to go in here. Kerwin says, nice. Does this work with libraries? Because that would be fantastic for social. That is exactly what we're doing, Kerwin. And so that is the comment that we are going to snag and throw right in here. Yes. So I just created all of these assets in Adobe Photoshop. I made myself these little blobs. I made myself our little arrows, and as you can see, I have my libraries here, and I made those just now from scratch on the stream, put them in a library, and then came over to Adobe Express, and there they all were. So we've got our text from Kerwin here, and I think we could mess with the placement a little bit, because this is an interesting layout for our text, to be perfectly honest, but we don't have time for that. We don't have time just yet. Let's go ahead and let's grab this yellow and let's make it a little bit brighter. Let's make it like almost a white, kind of like we did in Photoshop, because I think that looks nice. Not quite white, but still interesting. That could be cool. How much time do we have here? I think we got about 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, what I'd like to do is we have the link for the library so you guys can download all of the assets that I use, but I also want to make this a remixable template for you so that you guys can use this right now and come in and start editing the pages and all that good stuff. I think we actually have another page. I don't know if I can make a remixable template out of something with multiple pages, so I might remove it. But I would say definitely keep an eye on all of the different, or keep in mind all of the different things that we talked about today when it comes to kind of concepting, the thought process and things behind creating something that is a little more interesting than just a solid block of text. Definitely follow Ruben, because Ruben came in today and gave us a nice hangout, you know, kind of hung out with us in the chat, and he also gave us our industry speaker advice for the day, which was really awesome. Let me go ahead and real quick, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna throw a duotone on this, and I'm gonna not make it that crazy. I really like doing duotone, and I don't know if you folks know about this, but it's a lot of fun. Definitely check out duotone if you can. I'm just gonna do something really subtle. Boom, so it's in the back. Very nice, very nice. All right, so we got our industry pro speaker advice today about working with text, creating stuff and making it, presenting non-visual information in an exciting way. I'm actually going to bring this back up here. The link to this is in the chat so that you can have your notes for the stream, a link to where you can follow Ruben, give him a thank you and a holler for hanging out with us today. And you can also check out his Master the Art of Color and UI Design course if you're interested in that. I'm going to make this remixable real quick, which I believe, let me go, I'm just going to go ahead and go home. And I believe I can just pull up my phone and go to Adobe Express. And I can go to my projects. And I can click on my project here, yes indeed. And I'm going to make a template and throw that link in the chat real quick. Let me make sure. We might have to remove our, there we go. All right. Make remixable template, yes. And I'm gonna throw that into the Behance chat right quick. Boom. Behance. I'm trying to chug along quick so that we don't run out of time, because I think that we are running out of time. We got about 2 minutes left. So let me pop over here. Join in chat. Please don't let me hear my own voice. Okay, it's muted. And I'm going to throw that right in here. Paste. Boom. You should be able to, yeah, there you go. There you go. Should be able to, boom, beat Chantel. All right. So now, like I said, this is a template, and it's, you know, I feel like it needs some love, but it needs some love from you guys. So we covered a lot today. I'm going to pop over here to my Photoshop just so that you folks can kind of see our recap. We came in and we concepted out some interesting ideas, brainstormed some ideas according to what everybody was talking about in the chat, the information we got from our industry pro speaker, some of my personal ideas, and kind of figured out how we might create a carousel post that could be interesting. And then we started creating some stuff from scratch. We grabbed some colors, we made some shapes, we made some interesting arrows, and started doing some concepts for what these assets could go into in order to create something that's interesting according to all of our advice for the day. And then we threw all that into a library and jumped into Adobe Express, where we started kind of dragging in those elements and bringing in stuff to create a template, and that template is now available for you guys. That is all the time I have for you today. If you will give me a follow on Instagram, you can see some mini episodes and things of Creatips that are going to be coming out between now and our next episode. Stay tuned because Cody is going to be on Twitch doing her brand new show, which I'm going to go hang out for, and I will see you folks next time. Adios, everyone.